Arsenal fans singing, "You're
Oh
not
yeah, I saw that.
special." Yeah. I forgot what it was actually. It was but yeah, fans have been
We
really
we
vocal
lose
this.
every week. We lose every week. You're not
You're not
special. We lose
special,
every
right? Yeah, you're not special. We lose every week. I mean, that was great, lah, to be honest.
Yeah, that
And
was
Liverpool
great.
fans are going to have top-notch banter for Benitez for sure.
Yeah,
But it'll
yeah.
be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. Hello and welcome to a recording of the Al and Jerry Football Podcast with me, Jerry, and my buddy Al.
What's up, guys? How you all doing? Hope you all are doing well. Wonderful week of football. And was it a red card or was it not a red card?
Yeah, lots of talking points. It looks like VAR has become sort of stepped into the limelight a bit.
Yeah. I mean, lots of talking points. Definitely lots of
Yeah,
talking points. We'll be getting
yeah,
into that later.
definitely. I think 3 weeks of football has already given us so much of talking points. I don't know, Lade. I hope the Mamaks will open so that we can go have tea
Yeah, I know.
and then just have a chat. We could do like a recording at the Mamak. How fun would that be, man?
And just as things were warming up now, we have the international break. What? Say what?
Yeah.
Come on.
But there's always other stuff, guys. There's F1. There's
Yeah,
let's hope it
definitely.
doesn't rain next week in Zandvoort. But yeah, lah. I guess I will start with the first game. It seems like I don't know whether Pep sort of decided to have a training session, man. They should have got some cones out, got some bibs, maybe put the Arsenal team in some bibs and
Well,
I'm not too sure, but
I saw a City first 11 play and Arsenal under 18. You watched the same thing, Derek? It was boys versus men. Seriously.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say on that actually. So we'll just get into it. Obviously, over the weekend, first game of the week was Manchester City against Arsenal. City 5-0 victors over Arsenal, really put them to the sword in that aspect. I'm just going to read out the stats here real quick. I don't think I need to say much. I'll just read out to you the Arsenal City stats. 25 shots compared to 1. Arsenal's 1. So City 25 shots, Arsenal had 1 shot. 81% possession. 81% possession. 19% possession for Arsenal. 757 passes for City against 185 for Arsenal.
185?
Yeah.
Goodness me.
And even with the 185 passes, passing accuracy was 67%. City was 91%. So the only thing Arsenal led in the stats comparison over here is fouls and yellow cards. I mean, despite how the game turned out, I think Xhaka's red card was definitely the turning point to the match.
Yeah,
but I don't think it should have been 81 possession. It seems like they're not playing for Arteta. I mean, I don't like to say this because as a professional, I've heard so many professionals say, despite their relationship with the manager, they still go and put 100% for the badge. And I think that should definitely sort of be the case here. But it didn't seem like they were playing for him. But kudos to City. I think City had a great performance. Jesus on the wing again, really a threat.
Oh, terrific.
And but if Gundogan is having a free header in the box against your defense, I think it's definitely
something is definitely wrong, isn't it?
I'm not going to take away the performance from City. I think it's great performance all around. I mean, attacking wise, they were so threatening. It didn't look like their defense had much of a job to do. Edison was literally strolling out the box, spraying passes left, right, center. So, I mean, pretty conclusive victory, but I don't know. I just don't see any fight at all. I didn't see any fight in the game. And I guess the talking point here was Xhaka's red card. Just quickly, definitely a red card, right? I mean, you can't go into footed like that, lah. Starts off the ground. Someone is starts off the ground.
Yeah. No, definitely with the way the game is today, I mean, there is not even a debate, And you see, again, I think in looking at Arsenal's team, probably Xhaka is one of, if not the most experienced player on the first 11. For him to do that, it's just diabolical, just suicidal. And, you're mentioning all those stats here, and I think we've gone a lot of weeks talking about Arsenal. And honestly, those stats really are just referring towards the coaching and the coaching technique on those players, and it really doesn't look good on Arteta. I mean, I was watching this game. I'm going into this game. I'm thinking, okay, like at least Arsenal is going to put up a little bit of a fight. Like they had a 6-0 win in midweek. Morale must be high, or at least they must be up for the game. But from minute one, I thought City were in control. The early goals came, and even before the red card, I thought looking at the way the game was panning out, I think City, it was clear one team was going to win the game, early on.
Yeah.
I just don't know what to say for Arsenal. I mean, obviously probably relegation talk is definitely over the top, especially, I mean, we all know that, but the way it's looking, it's like there is no way out. They couldn't play from the back. Those in front could not hold up
Also
play.
the team there, just to mention the team there, Cedric didn't have a touch in terms of, I think he hardly even completed a pass. So, I mean, I'm not going to mention that too much, but Kolasinac, players like Kolasinac playing centre back, I mean, it seems like he doesn't even want to be in the club, and that's like poses big questions. Also, Al, before we end on Arsenal, I just wanted to mention just now seeing so Ainsley Maitland-Niles, right? He's been on the bench for the last 3 games. And obviously, he was loaned out to West Brom last year because he seems like he's surplus to Arteta's requirements. Seems like Arteta doesn't really want him. But obviously, he's been kept this season, and I don't even know what the plans is with him. But he actually came out with a post on Insta just a few hours ago saying that I want to go somewhere where I can play, somewhere where I'm wanted. He said, please, send me somewhere where I'm wanted. And he tagged Arsenal in his post. So he was like publicly calling out Arsenal. I mean, in my opinion, this kind of stuff should be settled with the club and the player personally. I mean, it shouldn't have to come to a point where your player is sort of like publicly like asking you to like release him, I mean, it's just not really going to do the team well right now. And I think it definitely points to management. No easy way to say it, I guess.
I mean, I think the only way out for Arteta is that if he holds his head high and just say, I'm going to have to resign. I mean, you're right. Looking at all of these problems.
Honourable thing to do.
Yeah, honourable thing to do. And looking at all of these problems, I mean, we've been speaking about Arsenal, but I think City were just class apart. I mean, we were talking about Harry Kane, Cristiano Ronaldo. Do they really need this kind of players? Seriously, I mean, you looked at how they were playing, and Sterling didn't even start the game, isn't it? Sterling didn't start that game. And he came off of the bench. And
I guess you could say Jesus opened up the wings. Opened up his wings.
He parted the Red Sea, except this time the Red Sea was not even a sea to begin with. There was nothing to part, So
basically strolled down the wing. He had a little stroll down the wing.
But yeah, Gabriel Jesus, fantastic. Fantastic.
Definitely something to look out for this season, I guess.
Could he be a winger? Could he be, what City need on the right? We've been seeing him play as a striker and perhaps not so prolific, but on a wing, whole different story. I mean, he's different story altogether on the wing. Fantastic play all around. I mean, look at him, handling the play, putting the balls into the box. And of course, granted, Arsenal made it easy. I think we cannot take away still the performance from City.
They were... Obviously, they will be tested, definitely, I think, in the weeks to come. And this thing we will see. But for now, I think FPL-wise, I think Jesus would be a good choice in the way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, City, I always think this. I mean, if you look at Manchester City over the last couple of seasons with Guardiola, when you play against this sort of teams that cannot soak up the pressure, teams who play with a low block, these kind of teams have no issue. I think Man City can finish them up very easily. It's your Chelseas that play counter attack. It's your Spurs we saw in game week 1. It's even your Man United, it's your Liverpool. These are the real tests that I feel that Man City are gonna have to really weather, teams that actually really take it to them.
Yeah, for sure.
Punch for punch, fight for fight, that kind of thing. But I guess that's where the real test will come from.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess moving on to Liverpool and Chelsea, what do you
Oh,
think
what?
of the game?
Oh, Liverpool Chelsea, what a game! Seriously, I
Match for the
mean,
neutrals.
oh man, I tell you, fantastic game. Okay, let's hold our praises because obviously the red card, and I'm gonna get your ideas into this, right, Jerry? I mean,
Yeah.
before we talk about the game and the Van Dijk versus Lukaku, the tactical game all round and all of these things. Okay, I'm gonna put it out there. I don't think it was a penalty. I don't think it
Oh,
was a red card. Okay,
wow.
I
Big shock.
I yeah, big shot.
Controversy.
No, no, no. Because
Controversy, guys.
yeah, no controversy FC. But then I'm just thinking about it to say, I thought that the ball hit his thigh and then it hit
Yeah.
his hand. Now, of course, some angles don't help his case. I
Yeah.
thought that the referee was also very quick to his decision because the referee froze the monitor. I mean, those who were watching the game, he went to the VAR booth and he froze the monitor where the ball was exactly hitting the hand of Reece
Like
James.
freeze frame like that.
Yeah, it's like a freeze frame. Now, again, of course, this is a 50-50 call. I mean, it's definitely not one of your totally not a penalty, but I'm just saying for me, I thought it wasn't a pen. And perhaps even if the ref would have given a pen, I thought a red card was extremely harsh. Given the
Yeah.
circumstances, it wasn't a Suarez 2010 sort of a World Cup sort of a situation, it wasn't like that. And it was really harsh on Reece James. And of course, talking about that red card changed the game completely. I thought, again, from a neutral perspective, like you mentioned just now, I thought if there was 11v11, I think the game would have been much more open for both teams. That is, I mean, second half, it was clearly one team wanting to attack and the other team just wanting to soak the pressure. Mind you, they did it very well. But I thought the red card, in a way, spoiled the game a little bit now. I mean, it was a fantastic game until the red card. I mean, it still is second half wise. If you're into defensive football and the art of defense, which I'm sure is definitely a skill to the game, but I thought
90s Italy agrees. 90s
yeah,
Italy like gives
yeah,
you a thumbs up there.
90s Italy, Giovanni
Yeah.
Trapattoni would say, "Oh man, that is just." He'll be watching them out all day
Yeah.
long. But yeah, I must command Chelsea. Before we talk about Liverpool, I must say that over the course of two halves, given the circumstances, I thought they took the game to Liverpool. I thought that so many honourable mentions. I thought Jorginho had a very good game. N'Golo Kante had a very good game. The defense, of course, without mention. Lukaku and Van Dijk is one of those cases where you get a boxing match and the match goes right up to round 13. And I would say that Van Dijk edges a little bit. I thought he was better of the two. I thought that I wouldn't say pocketed Lukaku. I think that's a bit too far, but I thought he had severe control over Lukaku's
Probably
game.
he didn't pocket him, probably had him on a leash.
Yeah, probably had him on a leash, definitely.
Took him for a
And you
walk,
know
I
what?
guess. Took him for a
And
stroll.
Matip was also decent as well. Matip was
Yeah.
solid. I thought
Yeah.
the both of them. Lukaku had his moments. If you realize he turned
Definitely.
Matip one point of time, and Matip was on the ground, and of course he
I
had
think
his
there was a
moments.
few times where his hold-up play caused problems.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did. But on a whole, I thought he was really good. I said like Van Dijk and Matip, both of them were fantastic for Liverpool at the back. I just think that coming to Liverpool now, I mean, I think it's very clear that Chelsea's aspirations are definitely there to be seen. They're here to play. They're here for the big games. But Liverpool, on the other hand, I thought second half wise, creativity was a little bit of an issue. I thought that in looking at Chelsea pretty much were there happy to take the draw, right? Or rather to nick one at the other end, which obviously didn't happen. But I thought Thiago could have came on a little bit more earlier. One of your most creative players perhaps on the bench. Henderson and Fabinho, I thought they had more or less an average game, had their moments as well, but average game to me. And I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, I think that for a neutral perspective, on a whole, the 90 minutes was an enjoyable game. Second half wise, Liverpool, I thought could have been a little bit more creative. thought that things were very much under control. Antonio Rudiger, really professional performance, and of course, not to mention Thiago Silva as well. Yeah, given his
Yeah.
age, given his experience, I mean, you expect from someone like a player like him. But what are your thoughts, Jerry? Firstly, I want to know: do you think it was a red card or not? Do you think it was a pen or not?
Okay, so I definitely think it was a penalty, personally. So I'd have to disagree with you there, Al. Sorry, I think this monumental
No,
for
go
Al and
ahead.
Jerry. I think first disagreement on in the house. No, but definitely, I think we will keep it real, I guess, in that sense. But yeah, I do think it was a red card, purely because, let's say it have happened anywhere else in the box, maybe it. I'm sorry, I do think it was a penalty, because if it had happened anywhere else in the box, maybe it would have been a bit suspect. But this was on the line, and I felt he had moved his arm, whether unnaturally or naturally, he had moved his arm sort of to block the ball. So I think if you sort of move your arm forward, especially if your hands is not in an unnatural position, I guess, it did seem like it was a penalty. I think it definitely would have caused more controversy if nothing was awarded, but I definitely feel the red card was harsh, for sure. I think that's where the PL have ought to check the rules a little bit, maybe, because if you're going to send off every player for a red card in the penalty box, it's going to be pretty unfair, because I think majority of the calls, also majority of those handballs would be unintentional. I don't think Reece James intentionally wanted to push the ball out of the net, definitely. But sort of having your arm in that unnatural position and moving it towards the ball, definitely, I mean, I can see why the referee gave a penalty, but to give red cards like that would really, like, sort of, like you said, slow down the game, or like change the course of the game, for sure. Because like a penalty is not that much of a game changer, but a red card is definitely a game changer. Yeah. And I think from Liverpool's perspective, they would be more disappointed, I guess, with the result. I think they could have. I mean, if any any team with title aspirations, you'd want to finish off a game, especially with Chelsea that vulnerable. I think even at Anfield, that was their best chance to sort of finish Chelsea off. But I think Chelsea were the better team on the day, given the course of events that happened, and they deserved more. I mean, they were more deserved of the result, definitely. I mean, but one almost near perfect defensive performance. I mean, nothing could really do about the penalty, obviously, but silenced Mane, Salah, and Elliot. I think Elliot had a good game in terms of just seeing his touch, his distribution and stuff like that. But in terms of opening up the game, he couldn't. And that was purely due to Christensen, Rudiger having one of the best, a really good match, to be honest. And Rudiger, like, he's just a master of the dark arts. I mean, he knows. I saw in this interview quite a while back, I think they were asking Rudiger about his Chelsea teammates, and one of the questions the interviewer asked him was like, who would Rudiger like as his partner? And he picked Pepe without even thinking twice. So he said he likes Pepe's style, despite the fact that he may be instigated at times. But I mean, sometimes you need a player like that in your team, really. And like, he definitely looks really invigorated under Tuchel, for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. I see that as well. Yeah.
So I mean, I would rather speak about Chelsea's performance. I think they were the talking point, for sure. And in terms of Lukaku, I think he had tested the defense in the first half, right? He looked more of a threat against Matip, because Matip is the type of defender who likes to sort of you play off him, so he would try to get close to you and nudge the ball off you. And I think that's Lukaku's strength. If you get close to him and try to challenge him 50-50, I think he can push you off the ball or turn you very easily. But what Van Dijk does is smart. You see, what Van Dijk does is he gives you all the space to run into.
Yeah, he isolates.
Exactly. He closes you down quickly. Like, he gives you a space to run into, but it's sort of, he lures you into a false sense of pretense, and then he hunts you down and sort of snuffs out the chance. So in that way, I guess it's a bit smarter in his play. So you've got Matip who would prefer to get closer to the striker, nudge you off the ball, and you have someone like Van Dijk who sort of lures you into spaces which he would come out on top, sort of he would dominate in that sense. So he won't like just simply get close to you to try get the ball off you. He would give you that space, but he would try to sort of run you out of the game or beat you positionally. I guess Van Dijk would beat you positionally in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. I saw him pushing Lukaku out to the right,
Yeah,
to the left, and and you know,
Van
just
Dijk has this
isolated him.
technique. Yeah, Van Dijk has this technique really that I think it's very, very underrated. What he does is you don't see him running after players that much. So what he does is he moves back and sort of pushes you into a position where he know he can dominate you. So he might let you run down the wing so that you get snuffed out by the fullbacks or something like that. Or he takes his time in a way of like hunting you down. He would sort of bait you first, like throw bait, and then he would hunt you down.
I mean, this is experience, and also I think that was what was missing definitely last year, isn't it? I mean, that sort of
definitely that sort of dominance for Liverpool. I think they definitely missed it. But I still think the squad lacks a bit of depth because besides Jota off the bench for Firmino, you got Minamino and Origi, which I mean they haven't played enough over the last few quarters of the season for them to be, even threats along. I mean, comparing to City, I mean, they had Sterling and Mahrez on the bench.
That's different.
Frightening. That's frightening. De Bruyne didn't even play.
Yeah, De Bruyne didn't even play. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
So I guess moving on from that, Al, I just want to move on to the blue half of Merseyside. Right, with Everton.
Silently doing their work,
Yeah. Is Benitez sort of a shot in the dark? Is Benitez like a spark here?
It could be. I know it's early days, but it could be.
Early days, yes, definitely. Early days. But yeah, I just want to give mad props to Everton. I think they had a sort of near perfect performance. Of course, getting the clean sheet and getting the goals. But Everton look a lot more organized under Rafa Benitez, I can say. Defensively, they look a lot better. Because one thing I want to point out, Al, here is that Pickford has had 3 games, I think, with clean... No. The last game was a clean sheet, but Pickford hasn't looked sort of defensively suspect that he had with Everton over the past few seasons. I think the Pickford that plays for Everton and the Pickford that plays with England is... I mean, you can see this. Two very contrasting players. I think Southgate
not
is
dodgy
smart
anymore.
with Yeah, because I don't think Pickford is that keeper that's going to be like Edison and just literally stroll out the box and spray diagonal anytime. I think Pickford has good passing and kicking, but I think in terms of playing out at the back, I don't think it's safe for Everton. So that's something they changed over the weekend. They go long nowadays a little bit more, and I think they're using the aerial presence of players like Dominic Calvert-Lewin and probably Richarlison. Yeah, so defensively they look solid, and Pickford looks a lot more comfortable in this system under Benitez. But also props to Demarai Gray and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Obviously, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, good hold-up play and basically has scored the last 3 games. So he's been on target for the last 3 games, and that's what you want. You want your striker to start the season strong. And Demarai Gray looks a different player from the one I saw at Leicester. And the one that went out on loan, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not too sure, but obviously he's not had a stable run of games and form in terms of playing for Leicester and stuff. But I mean, he started the season really well. And Demarai Gray and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, they were under 21 buddies. So they played for England under 21 together. And they played well for England under 21 together. So that could be a partnership to look out for this season. Demarai Gray and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think that's what I got out of that.
Yeah, it's what you expect with a Rafa sort of a team. I think we didn't see this sort of...
Tell me what you think. Yeah.
Ability under Ancelotti last year. I thought they were shipping in a lot of goals unnecessarily under Carlo Ancelotti, which was also shocking, to be honest, because Ancelotti is also... he's an attacking manager, probably more attacking than Rafa. But what Rafa brings to Everton is that they look much more structured, organized, Let's not forget the earlier games, I thought there were mistakes. Michael Keane made mistakes. But, apart from that, there's a lot of good in this Everton side. And the best part is, I think, for a club of Everton, like Everton, they're silently going about their business. Players like Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin playing well together. Let's not forget, I thought Abdoulaye Doucouré also was quite good for Everton. Almost scored a goal. And, all round positives. I thought a lot of those Everton players were just very solid, and Rafa with his classic 4-4-1-1. I mean, it's classic Rafa, isn't it? And so a lot of stability, which we probably didn't see from Everton last season. And teams like Everton are one of those which tell you how far can they actually go. See, the good thing is, I think they've got an experienced manager who, again, very simply is going to just bring you that stability, that defensive steel. Rafa is, we know his advantages, we know his style, and maybe that might suit a team like Everton. Because Everton for the last couple of seasons, they've not had that. I thought under Ancelotti they were decent, but still they were very defensively suspect at times. And with these players,
almost anti-Italian.
Yeah, anti-Italian. Holgate, Luca Dean, and Seamus Coleman also had a good game, and all round positives for Everton. And again, how far can they go, because they've been doing well. I thought that over the course of the 3 games, so far it's been positives. The game against Leeds in matchweek 2 also, they were good, right? And uprising for the blue half of Merseyside, and again, when is the Merseyside derby? I think that's going to be a tasty clash because of Rafa coming back.
Oh man, it's going to be banter between the fans. I mean, fans this season have been quite vocal,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
That day, our producer, I'm not going to name drop him in case he wants to stay in the shadows, but he sent me a clip, Arsenal fans singing, special. I forgot what it was actually. It was wait, let me just find it here. But fans have been really.
We lose every week. You're not special.
You're not special, right? Yeah, you're not special. We lose every week. I mean, that was great, to be honest.
Yeah,
and Liverpool fans are going to have top-notch banter for Benitez for sure.
Yeah,
but it'll be interesting to see. Because I mean, Benitez, he's a household name, I would say, at this point in England. I mean, for him to go to Newcastle and sort of save them with, all the issues that's going there with their management and everything. And him to be even at Chelsea at one point. I mean,
experienced manager.
He's been around.
That's what
he's been around, really. So hopefully he can give Everton some stability, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah.
And once I think Everton gets that stability, like you see what David Moyes has done with West Ham, right?
Yeah.
He's definitely giving them that stability. Yeah. So that's that on Everton, guys. I mean, I think Everton were one of the teams to look out for this weekend, but definitely we'll see as the course of the season goes. But going into I think they got more positives than negatives to take going into the international break for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're silently doing their job, and I think, without all this pressure, that's good for a club like Everton. Let's see how far they can actually go. So I mean, speaking about Everton just now, definitely Benitez, he's been doing a lot of good for Everton. And of course, talking about managers, just a little sidetrack point, looking into the future, looking into things. The Brighton manager is, I rate him as well. And I think Graham Potter.
Mr. Potter.
Mr. Potter. Yeah, the other Mr. Potter, performing magic in Brighton. and looking at Graham Potter, right? I mean, I do rate him. I think that what he's done for Brighton, that team, tactically, very sound manager as well. And you know what? Honestly, if I'm looking at the Arsenal situation, and if Arteta does leave, this could be a good shout. I think that with someone like Graham Potter, with the players that Arsenal have, I think they would. You'd see the difference of coaching style. You'd see Arsenal be a little bit more well drilled. So that could be a good shout. I mean, Arsenal must give him time. I think that, but Graham Potter, I do like him as a manager. I think that he's one of those
Yeah,
managers who are tactically sound, and
even
quite.
someone like Eddie Howe also.
Yeah, Eddie Howe. Yeah, definitely Eddie Howe. Young managers like Graham Potter. I mean, Arsenal. I'm just thinking about Arsenal in the back of our head because we talked about the managers just now. Like I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah. But
could
do you
be a good.
think someone like Graham Potter could sort of? I'm not like having a go at his management. This is purely in terms of, do you think he can manage personalities at Arsenal? Not
Uh,
and not just the players at Arsenal, Al. I'm talking about even the former players over there who have such a high standard, sort of, like the Henrys and the Ian Wrights, and I mean they also bring sort of added pressure because they do still
yeah,
talk about
definitely,
Arsenal. Yeah,
definitely. I
and
mean,
they are from an era where they dominated, so they sort of can formulate opinion on anyone regardless of who you are.
I think definitely with or without those comments being made by those Arsenal legends, moving to a club like Arsenal, and again, no disrespect to Brighton or any of Brighton's fans who are listening, but I mean, looking at this, it's definitely going to be 5, 6 step ups, and of course, the pressure is going to be really high. I mean, if he does come, and when if this is a big if, of course, and whenever it happens, as we know, Arteta's under pressure. But whenever he this transfer, any manager for that matter, young manager Eddie Howe, someone in this category, it's going to be the pressure is going to be high. You're going to get people like Ian Wright, who he's been very vocal of Arsenal, by the way, and I'm
Yeah,
sure you've heard this, Jerry, and you've been hearing about Ian Wright's comments, and people like Thierry Henry also. Whenever he comes on Sky, all of these people, they're
yeah,
open to criticizing Arsenal, which is part of their job, obviously. But this is going to be the test, and of course, Arsenal, that, and also the pressure of the whole fan TV and the comments with social media. I mean, Arsenal fans, especially with the Arsenal fan TV thing, mentioned this before. They are part and parcel of the club. I mean, whether or not any manager comes in, and they are very much the added pressure that a manager must have to take into account. But I mean, if you get somebody who's a young manager coming in, no doubt they have to give him time. They have to give him time, and Arsenal would need to be grinding out results. It's not going to be a direct, I come in and it's a quick fix. So I think, but having said that, definitely I think that if you get a proper coach into Arsenal, because
yeah.
that's what's
I
missing.
think that was Al's point, basically.
Yeah,
Brighton's coach being a good coach with experience and with a system that sort of works.
yeah. Because we see
Yeah,
that in Everton, and of course,
yeah, definitely. Definitely, I think experience goes a long way, and definitely, I think this job was a little bit of a poison chalice for Arteta, but not a great first job to have. Definitely a bit too much pressure for a first job, you know. I mean, leaving Guardiola sort of team there, the management team. I think he should definitely, like, you see, Lampard had to start with Derby,
yeah,
Rodgers had to
yeah,
start with Swansea. A lot of these managers had starts with clubs on a lower level before they sort of made that big move. I mean, even Lampard, with that little bit of experience we had with Derby, you see, he came to Chelsea and it didn't work, but Chelsea
yeah.
didn't stick around with him. I think there's a lot there in that sense. But moving on, now, have
Wolves.
the Wolves lost their bikes?
Oh man, I tell you, another enjoyable game, and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
don't those who haven't
I
watched
think
this
I think
game.
I think I think Greenwood really bailed United out there, yeah, to be
Yeah,
honest.
no, massive bail, massive bail. I mean, Adamo Traore was giving us Hulk and Iniesta
Box
and Messi
office,
vibes
box
all together.
office, box office.
Yeah, I mean, and that player Trinchao, my God, what a player, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Left-footed right winger. I mean, that's always lovely to see.
he had United on strings at some parts of the first half, and
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
Adama
okay,
was turning Fred. I mean, I pity Fred, to be honest. I mean,
yeah, no,
he should not be left to deal with Adama Traore. That's for sure.
yeah, no, massive, physical difference there, obviously, but
Yeah.
Fred embodies much more problems than Adama Traore's muscles, overpowering him. But of course, if you look at it, I thought Wolves had a very decent game. I think that if they had a little bit more cohesion in the front, they could have definitely made more of it. And
Yeah.
I
In the
thought
final third, basically,
there
just
was a
to kill off the
worldie of a
chance.
save. There was a worldie of a save that
Oh yeah, yeah.
otherwise should have been a goal. I mean,
Cat-like reflexes by De Gea there. It's almost like a throwback to the old De Gea.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we the Spider-Man trailer came out earlier before this other Spider-Man trailer because we saw some really good reflexes from David De Gea. But yeah, I mean, Wolves. You see, I thought, I mean, Wolves are going to go far this season. I'm calling it out there. I think I do.
Yeah, you can see a system under Bruno Lage, can't you?
That's why I think the theme of today's show is definitely all about managers, right? I think you can see clearly what this manager is trying to do. I think he just needs to wait it out a few more games. I think once Raul Jimenez gets much more game time under him, get much more match. I think he has the match rhythm, but I think for a striker to get going once the goal starts coming, then of course it's better. And Wolves were up for it, make no mistake. I thought from the first 5 minutes, they were all over Man United, and I'm thinking
energy-wise and fitness-wise as well.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the funny bit. You think that Man United would be all pumped up, over a new signing and all of these things and all of that. Roy Keane mentioned on halftime that, if luckily, I mean, he hopes Ronaldo is not watching. Otherwise, Ronaldo might just retract his offer and, go back to
Yeah, I think Roy mentioned that. Sorry to interject here.
Yeah,
I think Roy mentioned that I think United have been over-reliant on individual talent, with the likes of Fernandes and Pogba, particularly in that sense, where maybe there's a little bit of a lack of cohesion as a team, as an 11,
Yeah.
I just want to get your thoughts on this as well. I mean, seeing Sancho's very quiet performance yesterday, definitely we're yet to see the best of Sancho, for sure. But comparing his time at Dortmund, he played on the right wing, and predominantly on the right wing. But last year, he sort of spent the end of his career at Dortmund on the left wing. And I think he had a really good partnership with Haaland there. But with the managers at Dortmund, there was a very clear sort of tactics in that sense and a system there. So you had build-up play. What I didn't see yesterday was sort of build-up play. It was more of pass it to the attackers and see what they can do. Obviously, that's a bit more of a free role, but in what Sancho had in Dortmund was build-up play in that sense where the team has a sort of system and they religiously sort of stick to that attacking system, and they play sort of very much like on the front foot, high pressure, high press, attacking in troops, hunting in packs, sort of a thing, and that really sort of showed his prowess at Dortmund. Do you think there's a difference there when he plays for United?
I think definitely Ole has done a lot of good. Let's just put it out there. I don't want to get on his back, but you could see again the coaching abilities of that team whenever you get games like Wolverhampton Wanderers and so on and so forth. You could see the limitations. I think, of course, I'm not also going to get on Jadon Sancho's back. I thought that it's his first start, in a lot of ways. And I think playing with somebody like Haaland, who is, Jadon Sancho knows Haaland's runs. He knows Haaland is primarily going to be a
Haaland is a force of nature, man. He's really just a force of nature.
Yeah, inside the box sort of a player. I mean, Sancho. I thought Sancho was average at best, but I'm not going to get on his back. I think it was his first start. Probably needs a bit more time, but yeah, definitely again with the players that Man United have. My issue is this, right? And I'll get to the Fred part very quickly. But my issue is that if it were to be a Tuchel, if it were to be a Guardiola, a Klopp, with this sort of players, you could see Man United actually really stamping their authority and identity very clearly week in, week out. Right?
Yeah, maybe now, not allowing Wolves that sort of foothold in the game, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. With Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it's there sometimes, it's there, it's not there sometimes. And of course, we didn't see it over the weekend. I thought Man United They nicked one at somewhere near the end. Of course, I think 70 minutes or something like that. But overall, they were very, very average throughout the game. And so speaking about average, one of the more average players for the Man United team was obviously Fred. I think, the thing about Fred is that Fred and McTominay work well together. But if you take one out from that double pivot, the other one can't function. We see that a lot. And I think Fred, I've been saying this, and it was so evidently clear against the Liverpool game last season. This guy, whenever he's pressured around him, he cannot pass out from the back. It's a real big problem, especially when Man United are such a transition team. They are an attacking team and they transition from midfield right up to the front very quickly. But when you've got a sort of like a block in the system in the middle, you can't transition as quick. When Pogba played with Fred, in the middle of the park, and obviously you need Pogba a little bit much more front, playing with Fernandes and Greenwood and all of those likes, and with Pogba and Fred in the middle, I thought that we were a little bit more stagnant, which of course, which is another point I'd like to bring up. I thought Ruben Neves was also fantastic for Wolves. I thought he was good.
Hey, did you see him go for a little bit of the Grealish Barnett there?
Yeah,
with the hairband and stuff.
I did.
I think he's trying to grow his hair.
Yeah, no, he's trying to grow his hair. And I'm thinking to myself, I thought that against Spurs, he was not that great, but when he was against Man United, and I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, Man United would do so well with a player like Ruben Neves in midfield for them, right?
Yeah.
Behind your likes of your Pogbas and your Bruno Fernandes, because he can play from the back. Fred needs McTominay to play from the back. With Fred and McTominay, that's a decent double pivot. I know people go on about N'Golo Kantes and all of these things, which are of course on another level. But when the both of them play, Man United are decent. But when one doesn't play, and McTominay is out, they really look like they cannot play from the back. But I'd say this though, if you want to talk about positives for Man United, because I did see a lot of positives for Wolves. I think it's just going to be a matter of time where they actually come in and score and win and so on, because they looked good. It's just that I thought the attacking cohesion was not that much there. But Trincao, your Adama Traore, your Raul Jimenez, once they start banging in the goals, I think Wolves can go far. So, but I'd like to say that if you're talking about positives, I thought Rafael Varane was good for Man United. He was solid.
Oh yeah, busy day at the office, but solid.
Yeah, no, busy day at the office, definitely. But I thought that, I can't really make a comparison with Lindelof yet, just to be fair.
Yes. Because it's the first game, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah, Wolves didn't pose a physical threat apart from Adama Traore, right? But what I did see with Varane is that I saw the smartness in the game. I saw the correct position. I saw the
pace as well. I mean, I thought he acclimatized to the pace very quickly, considering
exactly.
you had a
that's
Wolves.
A good point. That's a good point. Yeah, and I thought that I never once saw him, struggle. I thought some of the other team. I thought Luke Shaw didn't have the best of games. Aaron Wan-Bissaka didn't have the best of games, but I thought Varane was solid. I thought that he read the game very well. So that's of course a positive. But Man United has got to do better, lah. And again. We spoke about this at length the other day, and Ronaldo is going to be definitely adding goals, but the problem is in the midfield. I think if they're going to persist,
definitely.
A Fred-related midfield, I worry for Man United, because I can't see Fred making those simple passes correct, because once he gets pressured, that's it. And majority of teams play the pressing game today, Jerry. I mean, that's more or less a modern ethos already.
Yeah, I think if United have more time on the ball, you can definitely see a little bit more of Fred's qualities. But I think if they're on the back foot, I think he's very vulnerable in the sense where you always see him sort of chasing the man and chasing the ball.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean,
just quickly, Al, I just wanted to ask you on this, since we talk about the midfield here. So before we end, we just end on this. I just want to draw a comparison to Jorginho and Kante.
Yeah.
When you're talking about McTominay and Fred, you see Kante is like a box-to-box midfielder. He runs all the time, and he tries to hunt you down and sort of nick the ball off you. Whereas Jorginho he takes his time on the ball and he's sort of a deep lying playmaker,
Yeah,
So he's
yeah,
looking to open up the game from the back there. But you can see clear qualities in the both of them, and they complement each other very well, you know. But when I was looking at Fred play yesterday, I couldn't directly point out something which he was predominantly good at, whether it's box to box, whether it's nicking the ball and being a nuisance like Kante, or whether it's opening up the game from a deep line playmaker. I think with McTominay, I can see he's definitely attacking threat, and he
yeah,
definitely adds a bit of physicality to the midfield in terms of, he can push people off the ball. I think McTominay against Neymar last year, I think there was a space of 60 seconds, 1 minute where he fouled Neymar three times. I mean, he just did what was necessary to sort
yeah,
of foil that threat, But you see, with Kante and Jorginho, they're both very comfortable and very clear with what their roles are in the team, and they complement each other perfectly to the point where both of them are named as possible candidates for Ballon d'Or. I mean,
yeah.
that itself, it's a perfect example, I think, of a midfield that's fully functional and very aware of their roles and their qualities.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the one telling point that I can tell you is this, Jerry. I mean, when Kante doesn't play, and of course, if Jorginho has to play on his own, you don't see the limitations. Let's
Yeah,
not let's we know that those two in Chelsea are definitely higher in terms of quality individually than Fred and McTominay. But I personally believe that Fred and McTominay need each other to function. Maybe McTominay not so much if Fred doesn't play. Like you mentioned, I think
right,
McTominay
right.
box to box. But Fred really looks limited without McTominay next to him. The power is more or less lost. But you can't say that about Chelsea's Kante and Jorginho. I think those two, quality aside, are definitely able to do more for the team if the other doesn't play. And I think that's the other telling point, because if you remember against Liverpool, I think Kante got subbed off quite early. I think was it after the first half, or I'm not sure
Yeah,
when, but Jorginho coped. Jorginho coped and Chelsea coped. But I can't say the same about Fred, definitely. And again, this is where, and I don't know whether United are going to be still buying in the market, but if you want to match up to Chelsea's level, since you brought up those two players, I think these two midfielders are definitely a great telling point, because N'Golo Kante, Jorginho, they are so important towards the game of Chelsea. And with Kante, when he was playing in the first half, I thought he was fantastic as well. I think it was really good. But yeah, I mean, Man United's midfield, the double pivot needs each other to
yeah,
work, to
yeah,
get maximum output. But yeah, I mean, I could not see him playing out from the back yesterday, and that was a major problem. That was a major block.
yeah. You need to be that link between the defense and the attack. And if you are a weak link, you're putting vulnerability on the defense, and you're sort of not supporting the attack, and sort of
Yeah,
the,
definitely.
the, the attack ends up being sort of blunt because there's no link between the defense and yeah. Definitely something there. United fans, do tell us what you think in that sense. I think that's a very good point that Al brought up there. The fact that you can probably have Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar all in the same team, but if you don't address the problem, I think that United has now, it probably is sort of a lack of quality in the midfield. And we're not talking sort of, Fred is not a bad player. I think he is a very smart player. I think he can work for a whole set of teams, but United are going to be under pressure a lot purely because of the investment they have in that team and the gulf of talent they have in that team. So you sort of have to maintain those standards,
Yeah,
whoever
but
you
but
are.
but, but I'll say this though. I don't know which part of Fred is a Brazilian. I mean, nah, just kidding, just kidding.
Oh man, throwing shit at Fred, man. Freddie.
Yeah,
I think even
it's
the
all
name
good.
Fred.
It's all good.
Yeah, maybe he's missing the in-hole. He needs an in-hole.
Yeah.
Fredino probably would be like a better player. No, but in all seriousness, I think you see, I would point out Fred's physical qualities, but you gotta be N'Golo Kante to make like a 5 foot player work in the league,
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I guess that's all we have much time for, I guess, in terms of the main discussion today. Do let us know, whoever's listening, or what you think, and definitely we will see. I guess we will see what United can sort of how. I guess that is a good problem for Oli to have, because if he can overcome it, it's just gonna make the team better, definitely.
Yeah,
And we'll
definitely.
definitely see if Ronaldo coming does elevate the performances of everybody. And I guess that's that in terms of all the games. I just want to give a few honorable mentions to Spurs and Watford. Obviously, Spurs getting the win with a 1-0. A free kick floated in by Son, which ultimately caught the keeper out. I think solid performance by Spurs in terms of keeping that result. And looks like Lloris is going to be leading the clean sheets for this season's keepers.
Yeah.
Another honourable mention to Southampton and Newcastle, because with 2-2 draw over there. Leeds in Burnley. Bamford with his post-match press conference saying that James Tarkowski tried to use a jiu-jitsu move on him to stop him. Burnley getting more smoke on the fact that they're a bit rough in the way they play. And West Ham and Crystal Palace. I think props to West Ham. I think Antonio looks really strong this season. He's leading the score charts, one of the top scorers in the league. And also a shout out to Crystal Palace, who finally got a little bit of a result, I guess, under Patrick Vieira. And we're looking to see
Yeah.
more of them. And with the young Chelsea boy Conor Gallagher getting 2 goals, I think that was a good game for the neutrals in that sense. Definitely West Ham a team to look out for out this season.
Yeah, they are. They are. I think David Moyes has shaped a good West Ham side, and a lot of exciting. They're also an exciting team to watch. Yeah, mind you. I mean, it's not just typical British hoofball, all
Yeah,
over the pitch.
yeah. No, they are a
West
ball
Ham
playing
are
team. They
exciting.
are a ball playing team.
Yeah, no, West Ham are exciting. Make no mistake out of that.
Yeah.
And players like Mikel Antonio, your
Like
Suchek, some of
Benrahma,
these
Pablo
players. Yeah, Ben
Fornals.
Rama. Yeah,
Yeah.
what a player, Ben Rama. What a player.
Yeah.
And they're a good team to watch. And I'm looking forward to see West Ham take on this sort of big teams, and how they're going to fare against them. And also Aston Villa Brentford was also a good game over the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
End-to-end stuff. Brentford also, again, since the theme of today's show is more on coaches, you can see when a team is drilled well. I think it's very evident in today's game, especially.
Yes. Yeah, Buendia, what a goal by Buendia though.
Yeah, what a goal.
getting started, opening his hoping to see more from him, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, Norwich losing to Leicester over the weekend. We get to see the best of Norwich. Leicester, as clinical as they always are,
Yeah.
a bit defensively suspect with Soyuncu there at one point, because he gave away the penalty, definitely.
That's odd,
Yeah.
because I thought Soyuncu's usually, as per his solid self,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. But he's still a young player, and we get to see how he sort of, because the league doesn't get easier the more you play. The more you play, the harder it gets, and only the best persevere. I think in Van Dijk's second season, he was quite comfortable, but that title-winning season, his third season, he was tested a lot. And that's where they had to grind up the results. So it only gets harder. It only gets harder, like with players like Varane as well. I mean, it would get harder for him, but it's how they can persevere. I guess perseverance is key, especially in England, because it almost looks like the pace and the standards of the PL increases every year. I mean, you get younger players coming in, younger players playing for smaller teams who are able to sort of set the tone in terms of energy levels. I guess you gotta be a good old Uncle Milner to be able to handle all that.
That's why I guess the Premier League is the most competitive league out there, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, don't listen to anybody else, guys. The English Premier League's better. The best out there. That's why we do this every week, and that's why we love the beautiful game. So that's all we have time for, I guess, this week, guys. Thanks for listening, and do comment and like and subscribe, and let us know what you think about today's discussion, and we'll see you soon. Probably
ciao,
this
guys.
week
Take care.
or next week. All right. Have a good international break as well. 1 week break.
Yep.
Take care. Ciao. Terima kasih.